Hello, everybody, and welcome to game one of this best of three of the lower bracket for Group C of the DreamLeague Season 13. The major is incoming, friends. The main bracket will soon be a thing. But who will be there is the real question. My name is Sunsfan. Joining me is Kezu. How are you, friend?
I am doing very well on this very nice day.
Is it a nice day?
There was actually some snow earlier, so that's a first for me in a long time.
Oh,
Because
snow.
it hasn't snowed in a long time, so that was nice. I saw at least a few snowflakes. Now it's all gone. But I've been watching some of the games today, and they were very entertaining, actually.
Yes, Alliance does a good job of making things entertaining. Despite losing 2-0,
Yeah.
it was entertaining nonetheless. So we're going to see Virtus.pro versus Reality Rift. Reality Rift went 1-2 against IG yesterday, who are now in the upper bracket. Congratulations to them. And VP lost 2-0 in convincing fashion to Alliance, so not sure who's going to show up for them today. Treant first pick, though. This has been kind of a mainstay for pretty much every region, it feels like. In fact, Alliance is undefeated when they get Tree, so it was banned, and they haven't won a game since for the old Fata.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, Triant is... I wasn't quite sure how popular he would be coming into the major, because I feel like he has mixed results, at least in the pubs that I play. But, I mean, these teams are definitely showing that they still think the hero's very good. Because I do see him first picked in the games where he's not banned.
Yep. This hero, Slark, was banned in the last series quite a bit. Looks like he's going to be first picked for Reality Rift into a Lich. What is the matchup like? I mean, I know it's not a direct correlation here or anything like that, but Slark versus Tree, it has to be okay, right? You can dispel the overgrowth. It's a tanky guy you can just gain stacks on. Is that something you think about in this scenario?
Trian doesn't really do much to Slark. I think here, like, you see, I guess, one hero where Slark is good, that Slark is good against. I mean, it's kind of weird that you can pick Slark like this and it doesn't even feel that bad. Like, you see one Trian and you're like, oh, hey, let's go Slark. I mean, what's smart about what they did, at least, I think they kind of planned on 8-9ing Slark here, because they last banned PL, which means that now Virtus.pro can't respond with a 10th pick PL here, which I guess is what they consider the biggest counter to him. And then that's the classic Lich, just one of the strongest fives, and I think he's been picked very frequently in this tournament so far as well.
Mm-hmm. We have yet to see the greatest counter of all, though, which is Bloodseeker, Kezu. Very exciting hero.
Gonna get banned. Maybe picked here even. Nope, Drew Ranger.
Do you think a second pick Bloodseeker is actually something you would do? Wouldn't that feel kind of bad?
I mean, if you're first pick here and you close out the phase with it and now you ban 2 heroes for it, I think it's okay, simply because you know it's up against a Slark. But it's player preference. There's a lot of heroes that are okay or slightly good against Slark, so I think it just depends on whatever they think is the best and most comfortable for their carry player.
In terms of the off lanes, which I feel like is kind of the focus of a lot of these drafts, you have the Omni Knights of the world, the Dooms, both out of the picture right now. Abaddon is still available. Some teams have just kind of not felt that it's as strong as it was back during the minor. Not sure if that's going to revitalize it at all, but Abaddon's still available. Of course, can dispel, overgrowth and whatnot, or just gust for Reality Rift. Just depends on what their top priorities are in terms of that offlane.
Having a saving
Legion
hero when you have a Slark in your team and then you pair it up with one more save, it actually makes it really hard to play against the lineup, because then, I mean, how are you supposed to catch the Slark? Like, if they play well, Slark can take off the stun by himself. If he does mess up a bit, or if the other guy's close by, then he can just cleanse the stun for him. So Abba is definitely a option that Reality Rift could go for. I don't quite recall what offlaners they played yesterday. I think they had Legion once and Omni once. Actually, they played all the 3 saving heroes on the offlane, right? They played Omni, Abba, and Legion.
Yeah, Legion was definitely like the highest priority, it felt like, for a lot of these teams yesterday. But and it works really well with Slark as well. Obviously, not just for the dispel, because you essentially get double dispel, right? But the attack speed that comes with it and whatnot. So yeah, Reality Rift series versus IG went 3 games. Omni Knight was in the first game. Let's see if we can look at the next 2. Then Abaddon, like you said, They just went,
Yeah.
and then Legion. So they literally just picked one of each.
Yeah,
Take
so
your
it
pick.
wouldn't really surprise me at all if they pick another save here on the next phase, especially because they already have Slark. Also, this spell is pretty good against Treant Protector, with you take off the Overgrowth, of course.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a double-edged sword against Drow, I think, because Drow is decent in the lane most of the time against these heroes, and of course she has a silence. But it synergizes quite well with Slark, so
And
we'll
if
see
you're
what they
VP
decide
side,
for.
you don't want to pick Abaddon here, right? Because isn't Slark doesn't it just
Yeah,
feed off of him?
you really don't want to pick Abba. Like, one of the reasons why Slark is so strong right now is that I think a lot of the meta offlaners, they really don't like to lane against him.
Mm-hmm.
Like all these Omnis, Abbas, Legions, like they really hate him. Like Underlord, Tidehunter. He kind of abuses all these heroes because they're fat, they don't really lock you down or stun you or threaten you. So it's just really easy for him to play both the lane and the game against these heroes.
So would you expect the Legion to be right here then? Because, like we
Um,
said,
I
Virtus.pro is
would,
not going to pick Abba, so this might be the time.
yeah, I would probably prefer Abba over Legion for Reality Rift, but let's see.
They're going to go for the Rubik instead. So offlane
Can't
will
go
likely
very
come
wrong
for
with
their
this
fourth
hero.
pick.
Yeah.
Very flexible. I mean, both Lich and Rubik feel like very flexible picks. Not in terms of what position you play, but they just fit in almost any lineup. It feels like.
Certainly. They're both very good. They're decent laners. They're good throughout the game. They're versatile in like what they can offer in the game too. I guess VP are probably gonna pick their 5 here. Unless Tree is the 5. I'm not sure if they've played Treant and if they did, on what position. Because I've seen people run it 4 and 5, at least in pubs. So I don't know if they have a preference, but I will just assume that they want to pick one of their supports here.
Now, we saw, is Vengeful Spirit in consideration here? I mean, with the Drow Ranger, pretty good combo. Somewhat of a flexible pick in lane as well.
I think it could be. They're probably thinking about if they already have an idea what they want in the offlane, so they kind of maybe they get a better idea of what support matches up well with that one.
Skywrath it is.
So Sky is going to be their 4, which makes me assume that their offlane pick is going to be some tanky offlane hero that stuns, like some Legion type of hero, perhaps Legion, Centaur, whatever, something like that.
So you don't think that? I mean, do you prefer Venge as a 4 if it was picked? Not in this specific line, but just in general.
Over Sky here, you mean?
Well, just in general. Like, could they pick Avenge 3? Like, is that even a thing right now?
Oh, I think you can. If they've played it before on Resolution, I'm sure you can. I mean, it's hard to argue against like Venge Drow or Venge TB. I think it's kind of easy to play. It's straightforward and it's strong. So if you've practiced it a few times, I think you can pick it nearly at any point and feel good about it.
And if they pick Legion here, does Venge become even better? Being able to swap out a duel potentially?
Yeah, it would. But I
mean, you still end up running back though. It's a little awkward, isn't it? It's not like a true save in that sense.
Yeah, it's not as good as against other heroes. I don't really see them picking Venge anymore. They're gonna go for the Centaur.
Okay. A little initiation, a little tankiness.
Radiant team ban.
Yeah, it will be Legion, like you said, for VP. Okay.
That was a pretty quick pick. So they kind of knew. Like you can tell that when they picked the pick before the Sky, they were already thinking about like their offlane combo. I think they already had both these heroes in mind.
All right, so that only leaves the mid heroes for each respective team. Bloodseeker's still there, Kazu. Still available.
He is. But I do think you don't want to pick him here anymore.
Probably not.
I think there's a lot of like random magic stuff. There's also Stampede. I mean, it's not necessarily great against Rupture, but they can easily engage on him. There's a lot of magic damage from the supports.
Can Storm zip out of Pounce?
No, he cannot.
Okay. So Storm is not the greatest pick for either team then, because enough lockdown.
I would say Storm is okay for VP. Storm Drow is pretty okay. I mean, you're not really supposed to get pounced as Storm by a Slark, at least later on in the game. It's not really supposed to happen. They would have to like pre-lift him. The reason I like Storm here is that, well, he's pretty good with Legion. You help him win duels. You have setup with Treant, who can potentially set up kills for you on side lanes. And as far as I understand, I think Storm is pretty good against Slark, because you can initiate from high range, you have a lot of burst, but most importantly, he's really good against both the supports. They don't really like to be jumped by heroes.
Okay. Especially if you go something like Orchid, can shut down Slark before you can even get Dark Pact off.
Especially.
TA is going to be banned out from Reality Rift. And one more ban to go before we see what the mid lane. So Reality Rift does get the final pick, which gives them the advantage here. They can counter whatever comes out.
10 seconds remaining.
How do you like Viper? Oh, he's banned here.
Yeah, he got banned out earlier.
Viper would be a good pick in theory, right? Like with the drow.
For Virtus.pro? Yeah, for sure. Viper drow is very strong. You also have a guy that backs him up. DK. So I'm guessing it's a Storm type of hero coming up. Or Puck. Alright.
Yeah, similar. Okay.
Not
Very
too shabby.
flexible
Also a pretty safe mid pick. Like it's one of the heroes that, I mean, you can't really abuse him in the lane. Puck is always solid when it comes to mid heroes.
Yeah, they have a lot for Slark, I feel like. I mean, Coil, Duel, Ancient Seal, and Overgrowth, and technically Gust. All 5 heroes have something that can be used against the Slark.
Yeah. Slark is actually, at least out of my point of view, it's one of the better heroes from the carry role against Puck. Because, I mean, I think you cannot pounce out, but you can Dark Pact and break the Coil. So you take the damage, but of course you will cleanse the stun. Because most heroes, like a lot of other carries like Morphling and Anti-Mage Void, they actually cannot use their escape. They're kind of bound to the coil. But not quite sure what Reality Rift go for here. They could go some SF type of hero.
Whoa! All right, we saw this banned in, I think it was game 3 between IG and Reality Rift. So
really?
Alacrity will play the Meepo, which obviously is good against Puck once you get those nets up and whatnot. Do you like this? Like, is this a game-winning Puck pick, or is it just like, we'll see how it goes?
The Meepo, you mean?
Yeah. What did I say?
You said if it's a game-winning Puck pick.
Meepo, yeah.
I mean, sadly, I don't have the most like info on Meepo. It's like one of my worst heroes. But I mean, when I assume that this guy plays a lot of Meepo, and I think a 10-pick Meepo is like pretty scary, especially when these people who play it a lot call for it. To me, it looks like a good Meepo game. It doesn't look like a free win to me, like not at all. I do think that VP will have some options in the mid game. There's like some funky stuff you can do with Legion. There's a talent on 15 that makes your Q stronger for every hero you hit, which is pretty good against Meepo, out of my own experience. Puck can build some items. But yeah, I mean, I think the Meepo pick is strong, but it's certainly going to depend on his laning, and also, just like yesterday, I think the first Aegis for some of these heroes is really important. Like if Meepo doesn't get it, he feels really sad. Yeah. So I kind of want to have a very important look around the Roche pit at like 15 to 20 minutes.
Yeah, there's a few heroes in the game. It just feels like they just don't get Roche. They just almost never have impact. I mean, he has the level advantage almost every single game if you get off to even to a decent start. I mean, I got the pleasure of watching Meepo. This was obviously a few years ago with Weehaw, just playing it constantly. And there's only a couple of heroes that he truly feared as like hard counters. And one of the number one hero, surprisingly, especially at that time since it was somewhat popular, was Sven. But for the most part, you can deal with a lot of these heroes, but doesn't mean that Virtus.pro doesn't have some solutions, right? You have Duel, you have the Silence from Puck, which can be on all 5 Meepos unless he's spaced out properly. There are some tools to use for sure. And if Puck goes I mean, I don't know if you still do this, but like the Desolator into the 15 talent, you're damaging more heroes.
Still can. No, you definitely still can. I'm not sure if they wanna. I mean, they're probably talking about it. Like, do they want Puck to go a magic build so they can like try to burst one of the Meepos, like some Veil Blink Dagon? Or is he just gonna go? If he has a good game, he might even go for the damage into Phase Shift into Deso because they have a Drow Ranger. It's probably gonna be based on the game, but I think both builds are still viable. I still think, even with the nerfs to Puck's talents, I think he still has one of the best talent tree in the whole game. I don't think you feel bad about whichever route you take on the hero.
Yeah. I mean, the 25 talent, for the longest time, we saw the gold per minute, but the Dream Coil Rapid Fire has made a huge resurgence since the changes were made to the viability of a carry Puck for all intents and purposes. Yeah. So, kind of cool. See a lot of dynamic choices here for the Puck heroes. Looks like Hustler is going to get forced out of the pit.
That was really funny. I have not seen this in a long time.
Were they
the first encounter on the map?
Roshan?
the first encounter on the map was 2 supports meeting each other in the Roche pit. That's pretty hilarious.
They must have made an agreement beforehand. Do you miss the level 1 Roches, by the way?
Not really. I mean, I feel like it should be a bit more viable than it is, because like right now I think it's so bad. It's such a big investment because level 1 Roche, I think it doesn't give a lot of gold, no experience nowadays. And I feel like creativity or having a draft that could do it, it should potentially get rewarded if you get to do it.
Yep, I agree. It's high risk, high reward. That's how I look at it. And I feel like, especially with the comeback mechanics that are in the game, even if you get it and it gives you a decent amount, it's not like an auto win, right? As the bounties will go to, it will be split down the middle. I remember back in the day, this is before your time then, there was a time where we had a clip on the top 10 plays of the week where the old Roche pit, which you can't see here, but it was right around here, they were level 1 Roshing on the Radiant side, and they had an invisible wolf on the Dire, the Lycan, who gets the last hit on the Roshan, and the Dire Storm Spirit, which was mid, just happened to be standing in range and was level 5 right off the bat. That is broken.
Wait, wolves were level 1 back then?
Yeah, wolves were invis level 1 that back then, yeah. As Centaur gets taken out at the top lane. I mean, even getting the last hit on Roche is pretty difficult in that scenario, though. Yeah. But some crazy stuff, which I kind of missed.
First blood top, I guess probably didn't quite respect the slows enough. There's an Orb of Venom on tree and Frost Arrows with the Grasp. So if you're out of position around trees, that is a lot of damage.
And Solo he just completely beats down everybody. Centaur typically pretty tanky. Has that retaliate, but it's not doing a whole lot to the Treant Protector, like you said. Just so hard to deal with in this lane. Yeah. So it is a 5-position tree.
Yeah, no, the Dire lane is really strong. I think Radiant, if they play it properly, they can fight back. Whenever Dire go on them, I think they can fight back. But I don't think Radiant should engage. Like, they shouldn't start the initiation, kind of. Oh, they hit level 2 on VP, and that should be a kill.
Yep, Centaur dies. So that's the second kill for them now. Solo keeping healthy thanks to amalgamation of healing spells that's provided for Tree. Tree just feels like he's extremely strong. I would expect a nerf in the next patch, most likely, based on what we've seen, at least in this small sample size of games.
Yeah. This death on Centaur matters quite a lot, because it's not his first death, but his second, which meant that his TP is on cooldown, so he has to run back to the lane.
The walk of shame.
One thing to note about the kill that VP just got, the second one, they only got it because they engaged at the right time, where creeps were about to die, so they actually hit level 2. Without the Leech Seed on tree and the multi-shot on Drow, they actually wouldn't have scored that kill.
Yeah, well played then. No one continuing to try to fight up against this Meepo, who will continue to just replicate himself over and over. Got to be one of the most tilting heroes to play against, because once he gets the right items, he just blows them up.
How many Wraith Bands do you think is going to get this game on Meepo?
Let's see. So he's queued up 3, so I'm going to say 3. He has 1 right now as KYXY is just legitimately feeding now. Solo will die to the tower on purpose as well.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Certainly a good play. Yeah, VP is playing this top lane very well. I think they're kind of... well, they're taking advantage of the fact, I think, that Radiant aren't respecting the strength of Dire.
Another suicide on the other side of the map. So 2 members of VP just getting a free trip home. As Slark right now, 17-4 in the CS department. They're doing a decent job so far.
Yeah, I think if you're going even CS bottom with Slark, I think you should probably be pretty happy about that. At least if I'm the Slark here and I'm doing this well right now, I'm feeling pretty good about at least how my lane is going. Of course, the top lane isn't going that well, even though the net worth on Centaur is not too bad. I just put it up and he's actually doing solid.
How?
He must be spending all his gold when he's dying. Also, it looks like he hasn't used too many consumables either, because he just dies from full
he
zero.
He just dies right away. They're actually going to get a lift into the hoof stomp, and that is going to be a kill on the Drow Ranger. So very nicely done. Some recovery time for KYXY as Hustla continuing to get pressured by Solo. Can they turn this around though? Looks like they will. Very nicely played as the Skywrath Mage, after suiciding, comes back on the bot lane and just dies. So Reality Gaming, Reality Rift Gaming.
Still having some problems today.
And their logo, you guys need to work on this.
No, it's definitely very good. Something I mentioned earlier is that Radiant shouldn't be engaging, at least on the early levels. But once they get level 3, and they get to engage when they have retaliate stacks, they're actually stronger. So now, if they ever get the Drow out of position, I think Centaur's getting boots too. I personally think getting early boots against a lot of these carries is very good, because they all just greed up their Wraith Bands. So if you get them out of position, you're usually faster than them.
Resolution chasing out Drew in this bot lane.
Good old Drew.
Well, we'll be going to the phase boots, like you said, for KYXY. And the banner runes come into play. Looks like it will be a trade.
Lich
Save
killed
getting
one
pressed a little
bottom,
bit.
because
Oh, okay.
Save would have got the third one, actually.
Well done, Nuts.
But he's dead.
And he dies for it. So, was it worth it after all? That is the big question mark. Probably not in that regard.
I don't know. Someone can probably do the math on it.
If you can,
I'll leave it up for
if you can
discussion.
argue it, then he'll feel better about it. You can always justify
Yeah.
your death some way or another, right?
Yeah.
I just need a
No,
free
you
trip
cer-
back to Fountain.
You certainly want to try to justify.
Indeed. Pro
I'm not
players
too sure
are
about,
very stubborn in that way.
Yeah. This mid lane, I don't quite know how it's supposed to go. Like, I don't know if Meepo is supposed to outfarm him, or is Puck supposed to get out CS by Meepo? But for now, it looks like they're both pretty happy, especially Puck. I think no one should be happy with how this is going, at least from my knowledge. Especially now, he's gonna grab a DD. Also, mid tower's taking some pressure from the siege creep.
I mean, Puck is technically out-leveling the Meepo. That's a little bit surprising. I mean, I think that's one area that Meepo should definitely be winning in, right? I don't know about the farm. I agree with you.
Probably. Like, I think either you use both Meepos in lane to maybe win in denies, which means you win that way in gold and farm, or you split them up 1-1, and then
You
I
get
feel
more
like you should
XP.
be ahead in XP. Yeah.
Right. Well, their farm is pretty similar overall. Top lane, we're going to get the lift into the hoof stomp. KYXY has level 1 double edge. That should be enough to take him out if he wants to. We'll do
Bottom
so.
lane
It will
as
cause
well.
his death, of course, as Epileptic ends up getting that kill. Slark dies in the bot lane, and Nuts looks to be the next one left. So 3 for 1. VP getting great trades overall across the map.
Yeah. That was a great rotation by no one. It's one of the rotations I touched on yesterday, where your mid laner rotates into the enemy safe lane early on, especially with a rune. Like, I'm not quite sure what counterplay Radiant has when this happens. Like, what do you do at 7 minutes when a DD puck runs in your lane? Unless you know it's coming and your Slark TP's out. Like, it's not like Meepo wants to TP there and counterplay. He'll just feed too. So, it's just a good rotation with a nice rune by no one.
Oh, Skywrath Mage, again, suiciding. Do they need to fix suiciding again? I feel like we've gone back and forth with this.
I don't know. Like, what do you... Maybe you make it give more gold or something? Other than
Or
that,
more
I don't know if you
time
can do
in
much about
Fountain?
it.
Or more time waiting to come back? Respawn timer?
But that just means everyone has to do more. Or like, how do you code it?
Yeah, I don't know.
When you
It's-
when
it
you
is a
take
weird
glasses
problem.
from tower, yeah, I don't know how you do it. I feel like maybe you just give more gold for people that die to tower. I don't know, something like that.
Give a free neutral item.
There you go.
Neutral item drops on death. Resolution
Yeah.
does have duel available in this bot lane, but would not have found the kill, as Save not going to be able to help out too much. Level 5 on Drew for the Slark, so Resolution definitely out-leveling him for now. Save getting pressured a little bit more from Drew, but I think this will just be enough. As Stampede is using the top lane. Hoof Stomp, double edge to follow, but the TP from Puck actually will be continued, as no one will use the coil for the first time this game. And KYXY just runs right through and will die as a result.
I would like to say that's a very good TP by Virtus.pro, but kind of an ambitious play, I would say, by Reality Rift. Because I think right now what kind of the game plan is, Puck will go mid, he will push out the waves, and since the enemy mid is a Meepo, no one is kind of free to do whatever he wants. Like, he's gonna farm mid, and then he's just gonna be very open with the side lanes. Like, he's gonna be super ready to TP. So if you hand them plays like this, I mean, no one will obviously go and take them. So you need to be a bit careful how you play on the side lanes.
Royal Jelly on... Wait, how does that work on Meepo? So yeah, we're going to see a dual bot lane. Slark is in a lot of trouble. The Gust comes out right at the correct timing, and they're able to clean him up very nicely. Let's see. So it doesn't look like the Royal Jelly works like I really want it to, which is unfortunate.
Did he use it on himself?
Maybe not, actually.
Where is it?
No, it definitely has not been used.
Yeah, he has too little
Pass it
regen.
off to somebody.
So it's on the courier or something. Rubik has the second charge.
Huh.
One is used on Rubik and he's holding the item now.
Okay. No. Solo
Oh,
being
Meepo's
found
top.
out here, and yeah, Meepo comes in to help finish him off. Gets a little bit blocked off by the trees, but... And actually, Drew comes as well. So this is the 10-minute outpost play. They're going to get the tier 1 tower and the outpost top. And bottom lane, though, Hustler is alone. Could solo the outpost technically, but there's more reinforcements coming now.
Don't do it, Hustler. He might get the bounty, though.
Worth!
Run! He's gonna die. It's a dual win.
Down he goes. So was the bounty worth the 10 extra damage that Resolution gets, plus the extra confidence boost that you get from winning every respective duel?
True. One thing to note about that earlier rotation where the Drow came bot to kill the Slark, I think it's a really good rotation, especially when you have a hero like Treant, who's... Usually Treant is really annoying when it comes to defending his own safe lane tier 1 tower. I do think Solo was a little bit out of position, and the tier 1 tower top died a little bit too easy. Because I think the Drow coming bot would have helped them to take this tower a bit earlier, and you know, the tree would have just been annoying top in the meantime. So it kind of just lets their heroes play in parts of the map where they should all enjoy it.
No one has a Blink Dagger he can buy here in just a second. So that's going to be a nice initiation for him.
Yeah.
See if he ends up revealing it in a good way. But Blink Dagger's already on Meepo. So if they can get no one, he's already bought his items, so it wouldn't be the worst death in the world. But he'll get the coil only off on one. The counter initiation from Alacrity onto the Skywrath Mage, so it's a 1-for-1 support for support. But the Hoof Stomp will keep Solo in place. A 2-for-1 now, as Epileptic being continually chased by KYXY. Yeah, Blink is up again, and Meepo gets a triple kill, exactly what he wants. And now they will probably get this tier 1.
One important thing to note there, Reality Rift, they knew that VP were coming mid, because VP smoked under the bottom observer board that Reality Rift have placed. So they were kind of just waiting for VP to engage, because funnily enough, actually, if both teams are smoked mid, I think whichever team engages first is going to lose the fight. And unluckily for VP, like I said, Reality Rift knew they were coming, so they were just patient. They get to counter initiate, and it's a really good fight for them. They also took the tier 1 mid tower from that.
How does the Meepo attributes work exactly versus his clone? The main one has less HP than the other ones. I forget how they changed this.
How?
But I was thinking about the Royal Jelly. The Royal Jelly being placed on the main Meepo only can kind of give away which the real Meepo is. I don't know how much that matters, but...
Yeah, I don't think it doesn't really matter much. It looks like there's another play coming up mid, or at least VP is trying.
Drew. Coil. Actually does not run through, but will pop the ult. And it looks like no one will get out of dodge. Resolution looking for the dual kill. Instead, we'll be kind of stuck in the tier 1. We're seeing the overgrowth onto Meepo. There's the silence to follow. They're able to clean them up. Very nicely done from Skywrath Mage. 0 reinforcements for Reality Rift. And now Nuts looks to be on the defensive. That is another dual kill for Resolution, and this is going to be a tier 1 tower for Virtus.pro.
That's kind of a funny engage. They were like diving, then they were going back. The other team ran at them. But eventually, it turns out really well for VP. They just understood that the Meepo was a little out of position when he blinked in a bit too far. And they just threw all the spells on him.
Meepo still top of the net worth. That's kind of what you expect despite the kill. But Puck is not very far behind right now. And I'm really interested to see what build Puck will go for. I mean, if you go for the right-click build, do you even go Blink Tag? I feel like I don't see Blink as often when you go for that build. So you're probably just going for the old-fashioned.
I think it depends a lot. I mean, it's very game dependent. Like, you don't really have to go Blink, I think, if you go the right-click talent or the right-click build in general. But I think since he has such a good game, and he's like the tempo hero for his team, and I think he wants to pressure Radiant because Meepo and Slark kind of both want to farm, I think that's why he's opting to go for Blink, just so that they can take these type of engagements right now.
Yeah, it's working out relatively well. And it's a pretty even game overall, as Lich is going to use his ult. Doesn't bounce at all, but Meepo's going to come clean up the tree and Protector shortly after, but that's Solo's MO. He's fine being the sacrifice for his team. Slark very close to getting to Fusel Blade. And actually has a Manta style queued up afterwards. So we talked about how they have a lot of answers for the Slark, potentially. Can only dispel one thing unless they overlap their disables. So Manta style could work
That
out
is
nicely.
interesting. I have not seen Manton Slark about ever, but I do think this is probably one of the games where it actually makes a lot of sense. It's good
It doesn't
against
feel
every
good
single
though,
hero.
right? Have to go for
It
it.
it
but-
doesn't feel good when you have to buy it, but this is probably one of the games where you can justify it and make it feel better than it is on average.
So do you like this over a BKB instead? I mean, he might go BKB as well later, but like for a second item.
I think right now it's a bit hard for me to say. I think it's going to depend on how his next minutes go. Like if it feels like he has to literally team fight and be in the fight and help his team, then a BKB will be better. But if it's more of like a bit of a slow game and he doesn't have to commit too hard, then Manta's fine.
Oh, they're going to initiate onto Lich. Going to be an easy kill, followed up by a coil, but Meepo is just going to punish no one. So it's a 1-for-1, definite advantage from Reality Rift side.
Yeah, they're playing in groups quite nicely. Like, I don't really see Reality Rift farm alone too much. I mean, of course, right now Slark is mid, since his whole team is bottom. But when one guy is farming or one guy is sitting at a tower, there's usually one guy behind him. Like, this Meepo is... I'll say he's pretty active in terms of looking around the map for kills or potential plays that he has.
I love players that queue up like their entire item set for the rest of the game, by the way. Meepo will be going for a Sheep Stick into E-Blade, into Scotty, into Heart.
Yeah, he
So
knows,
looking
man.
forward to that. I mean, it's one of those heroes where if you play this hero a lot, you know exactly what items you're going to need this game.
Yeah, I mean, at least if the game is like going according to plan and nothing too crazy happens, then you can probably stick to like a set of items. Just make sure that if you do this, you adjust to the game in case some crazy stuff happens. You know? Don't just always follow your quick buy because I put it in quick buy.
It's so tempting, though, you know?
Yeah, it is. You,
mean, it's not
you have
just
to
the
open the
mindset.
shop again.
It's not just that mindset, though. Sometimes if you're about to die, you auto-buy those items, and
Yeah.
you regret that decision after second thought. But looks like Drew... They want to initiate on him, but they don't really have enough vision in that area.
Yeah,
Blade Mail now
they
in
can feel
resolution.
it. Like, Slark was already pinging out the side. I mean, there's no one showing right now on Dire. If you put on Radiant Vision, I think it's pretty obvious that the teams are up to something. Radiant are smoking themselves right now. They're a bit afraid of Roshan.
This is actually a very value game, by the way, for Centaur Ags if he ends up going for it with the Meepo on the team. Getting the damage mitigation on every single Meepo is like super
For
good.
sure.
Has the
Yeah,
pipe
I
right
think-
now.
As you can see, kind of like I mentioned earlier in the game, I think both teams are gonna look to play around this area now, simply because both teams could potentially threaten Roche. I think Radiant more so than Dire, simply because they have Meepo. So I think the majority of the heroes you will see up here, and you will see one hero from each team pushing out bottom unless they're going for a quick kill. And for Dire, that's probably gonna be Puck, because he's just the most elusive hero, really. Like, he can push out the spot lane and still quickly connect to his team.
Do they know that Solo's here? Doesn't look like it, but
I don't think they
they
know.
are grouped up right now. Vambrace
Yeah,
from
that was
each
very
respective
close.
side, by the way. Drow ends up getting one for herself, which is super valiant.
Oh, really?
Because again, guys, remember, not only does it give you an extra slot, but it also reduces your net worth for some reason. And the side of Reality Rift, who do they give it to? Probably the Meepo, I would assume. Or maybe the Slark just built another.
Yeah, I'm
Great
not
sound.
sure which one, who they're giving it to. Right now, Slark is holding it. Did he buy another Wraith Band? No. I mean, I guess you just give it to the Meeple, because he already has a double Wraith Band and you don't, but who knows.
Meepo starting to separate himself just a little bit in terms of the net worth side. And as far as levels go, he's level 15. So still not that much higher than Puck. That kind of surprises me. Just a one
Yeah, I
level advantage.
think he's done more for his team, kind of, simply with the positioning game that he's kind of played, where he's like around kills a lot, instead of maybe, you know, being more aggressive in terms of farming. He might also be a little afraid, simply because the Treant can set up kills on the side lane pretty easily. Like, I would say both the enemy supports are a little hard to deal with if they're not showing on the map. Like, they're both kind of scary if you don't see them.
An epileptic kid working towards a Manta of his own. So we're actually going to see two Mantas in the same game. Who would have thought? Solo.
Doesn't
Oh, they
doesn't
actually don't
happen
see
too
him.
often.
Yeah, Manta is just one of those, I don't know, I guess Spectre is the one hero that you kind of wanted on. It feels really good sometimes.
Yeah. PL, AM.
Yeah,
Most
there's a few
illusion
heroes
heroes.
that really like it. But it used to be a much better item. Like, it used to be an auto buy on a lot of heroes back in the day, just a couple years ago. Tier 2 tower getting healed up very slowly. Looks like VP really wants to defend this. Fortification is popping. They'll probably attempt to heal it now with the tree.
Yeah. I don't blame them at all for defending for multiple reasons. First of all, they have Treant. Second of all, they still had okay in this area, and the Centaur got really low tanking that tower. And the last reason, if you do give up this tower, I think they would lose the entire control of this area, and that just makes the Roshan really scary for them.
Oh, Slark, silent stop. He was looking for the D ward. I mean, that is one strong aspect of Slark, the vision game, but he gets punished hard. I mean, the good news for them is they did get both outposts. We didn't mention that. The 20-minute outpost went to Reality Rift.
Oh, really? All right. Yeah, that definitely matters.
Still.
Yeah. If you want a D ward like this, you want to make sure that either you have enough info on the map to do it, or you call for backup as top lane.
Yeah, Meepo jumps in, and Legion Commander will not live any longer. Of course, Blade Mail, not exactly the best item against the Meepo because you have so many different sources of damage. Actually, what do you think of Blade Mail this game? We've seen a lot of variations in the builds of Legion Commander, and Blade Mail with the nerfs, I was talking about this with Cinder, and just so much worse now for BKB holders. Obviously, Meepo is not one of them. But do you like the Blade Mail
I would
this
say
game?
Overall, Blade Mail feels a lot worse, simply because of some of the changes that happened to Dota. In this game, I feel like it's not that good. I think what's more important in this game is that you end up getting the duel off. Oh, bottom lane, we have a pickoff on Puck. Maybe not. Yes, we do.
Ouch.
Is that a Hex reveal? Yeah.
Yes.
That's a huge kill. That might make them want to force a Roshan. We'll have to see how they opt
I mean,
to go
Meepo
about
can
it
just
now.
solo it at this point, right?
Yeah.
At least it's getting to that point.
Yeah. To go back to the Blade Mail point, I think in this game, since you have Skywrath, I feel like you don't really need to help yourself win the duel in that sense. Because you have a lot of AoE damage that your team can kind of pump into your duel. So I think it's more important for him to get the duel off and stay alive. So like Blink BKB perhaps. Because I think the Blade Mail is only good against Slark. Like, I mean, realistically. And therefore you also have to get the duel off first on that hero, which is not the easiest task.
Yeah. Looks like this is a free Rosh. It's going to be scanned, but a little bit too late. Roshan will die very shortly.
Yeah.
They are TPing to the shrine, and no one. They're just going to orb out and back. So Meepo.
Very well played by Reality Rift. I feel like this Meepo, he's kind of setting up his own game, which is not always that usual. Like most plays, they're just running through him. Like this pick off bottom, he allowed himself to take Roche simply by, buying Hex, second item after Blink, picking off the puck, and then just going to Roshan.
They immediately smoke as well. The Resolution's starting to feel the pressure, it feels like. So they might just focus on this tier 2 tower. Do you think Storm Spirit... Meepo has to be the best Aegis carrier in the game, right?
I guess it depends a bit on at what times they get it, but Meepo is definitely one of the best. Like Meepo, Huskar, Storm. I think all these guys are incredible Aegis carriers.
Like when it gets to late game, like super late game, Meepo can definitely feel like he's dropping off quite a bit.
Yeah, like here, I think first Aegis, Meepo, Huskar are probably top candidates for first Aegis.
Right.
Oh, top lane.
Like Skywrath Mage is Dunzo.
Oh boy, this Meepo is getting out of control.
Yes, he is.
Oh, he's going back
Looks
mid.
like
No,
he might want to go back. No one is going to silence him, though. At least these two are. No one just feels
this is so
helpless.
scary, because they actually can go on him. If they go on these two Meepos, he brings in the two other ones and he just kills both.
Yeah, it's rough stuff for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the cool thing about the Meepo Aegis is when you respawn, it's based on where your main Meepo was.
Yeah.
So you can die in another Meepo super far away, and your Aegis can be it can be the safest Aegis possible. It's not like you can die twice easily. So that's kind of a cool factor of the Meepo Aegis.
Yeah. Also, I think in this game, I think whenever Meepo has Aegis, it's just like a no-go for VP. Like, I don't see how VP fight into Meepo Aegis, because I think they have enough damage to kill him once, but they need to use like Duel and Sky ulti, which means they're kind of running out of ammunition for his second life. So I really think the best choice they have when Meepo does, achieve an Aegis is that they just split the map and farm the sides.
Yeah, the build for Slark actually maybe makes even a little bit more sense because you go this hybrid defensive / offensive build because Meepo is the one doing the main amount of damage right now. So if Meepo starts to drop off in the later stage of the game, Slark will start to really pick it up, right? Once those items come into play.
No, I definitely think it's a good item build. I like the items on Radiant. They might run into the Drow Ranger here. They see him on this Observer Ward.
You also see this Puck who will get out, it looks like, and Drow will be successful in getting back to the base. But no one, not so lucky. He's having a pretty... Well, he's 5-3, but the last 10 minutes it feels like he's died a lot to this Meepo.
Yeah, this game is just getting a bit hard to play right now for Reality Rift. Sorry, for VP. Because Rift are actually moving pretty nicely around the map. And VP, honestly, they don't have that many plays unless Rift mess up their positioning on the map. They have an engage on bottom, nothing much will happen. Because Rift, they're kind of just roaming around the map, you know? They run to bottom, push out bot, then in return VP goes top, they push that out, so then Rift run back top. And they're kind of starting to choke them in base, and now they're even gonna hit the base with 1.5 minutes left on their Aegis.
Fortification is popped, so every Meepo will take some damage, essentially. Very powerful mechanic in the game now, but of course, like you said, Aegis is still there. So, at the very least, this will be a tier 3 telekinesis onto resolution, but Reality Rift is going to be certainly fine with the outcome of that. I mean, looking at Resolution's item build, you talk about he didn't really like the blade mail that much. He also buys an Ogre Axe, which I assume was going to be a Halberd, but now switched it up to go for Blink Dagger. So kind of all over the place itemization-wise for Resolution.
Yeah, I think he kind of, as you can tell from his item build, I think he realized it himself that perhaps, I think Blink is kind of what they need now. As he's in some trouble top, they see him with the Slark's Night Vision.
Ooh. Pounce will not connect. He actually gets off his press the attack. A beautiful 4-7 on the high ground, actually. And look at the multi-shot doing, completely decimating the Lich, actually. Slark in a lot of trouble. Pops the ult, has 200 HP into the Skywrath ult, and he is donezo. So Reality Rift needs to get on the defensive here, run away. The Overgrowth will connect onto KYXY, and the damage will ensue from the Drow Ranger and company. Stampede is still available. Here comes the Meepo, though. The Aegis, I believe, is still there. Stampede to follow. Buyback on the Legion Commander. Now, with that, perhaps Reality Rift will fall back. They do want to use this Aegis, but it doesn't look like that's going to be the case. This KYXY will TP out.
10 seconds on Aegis, so they have to get out of there. They got a buyback out of Legion. I still think that's... I mean, it's okay for both teams, but I do think if you're Reality Rift, you just make sure you take safe fights since you're so far ahead. Though that Force Staff was very beautiful. Who used that one? Skyref, I think?
Yeah, that was
Sky
nice.
or Drow. That was a very nice Force up top. One thing to note as well is Centaur's item build, which I think is really good for this game. I like the fact that he's not going Blink Dagger, because this Meepo, like we said, he's initiating all the plays, and he will continue to do so, especially if his team can, you know, ensure that he doesn't die when he goes in. And so Centaur, he went for this Pipe Crimson, which just makes all Meepos like that much more tanky against all this physical and magical damage, and now he goes for this Aghanims that you touched on earlier. So I think his item build is the best possible choice for this game.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. I mean, everything about him is damage mitigation right now, right?
Yeah.
So, very nice to see. Still a ways away from actually finishing the Ags, but you have to assume he will find it, considering that Reality Rift is in the driver's seat right now. Not sure if they want to pursue this any further, because they do have complete map control right now. But they could just wait for the next Roche before actually going high grounds, because I believe they just took out the Shrine after taking the tier 3 bot. So that'll open up the Roshan for when it respawns.
Yeah, so realistically, the next big thing that should happen in this game is a Roshan fight for both teams. Right now, what's a big advantage for Radiant is that they have their Roshan Shrine alive, obviously, and Dire does not. So if you're Radiant here, at least one thing I would like to talk about if I was in Rift right now is that we should try to hold buybacks for this Roche fight. Because they can use buybacks to their advantage, for sure, because they have the Shrine. Whereas VP, if they die and buyback, it takes them so much longer.
That's a good point.
To get back into this fight.
That is a very good point. And Boots of Travel have been, not that they would have picked this up anyway, but in this patch just feels way less common as well. To be able to actually get in on a creep wave to get back into the fight easily. So yeah, Roshan is definitely in Reality Rift's favor right now.
Yeah. So like
Orb
right
of
now you
Destruction
want
on
to be
Meepo, by the way. I'm not sure if he's actually going to equip it, but like, what do you get rid
currently
of
he does not have it. No, I think you give it to Slark, right? You give it to Slark over Wand or something. It's not like there's mana burn, so you don't really want to hold the Wand for that specific reason. So I do think that Slark is for sure the best potential candidate for that item.
Well, looks like VP really wants to get this shrine. They will be successful, so it'll be a trade. Slark was looking to poke the racks, but thinks better of it, so...
They also got a 2950 bounty rune, actually, while they took that shrine.
Nice. It's too bad that doesn't scale anymore, though, right?
Yeah, feels bad. Otherwise, some bonus gold was missed out.
Indeed. So Meepo...
Oh, this is a very early Roshan spawn. My god. Oh, just kidding.
2/3. Yeah, this is actually a little bit confusing how they do this. It's actually a very long...
I looked at it when it said like, oh, Roshan may spawn in 1 second. I was like, oh wow, this is very early.
He may, but he will not. It will be almost max time here, it looks like.
Yeah, almost.
And I think by
this
that
was a bit scary.
KYXY will have the Ags, by the way, by that time for sure.
Oh, that's actually very important for them.
And it allows you to terrain walk, so you can just go right through the Roche Pit. It's actually... They have such good advantage on Roche Pit right now.
Yeah. Oh, he's in trouble top.
Uh-oh. Okay, he might not have it now. After pursuing this probably farther than he should have. Very tanky, but loses about 300 gold.
It's the good old one wave. When you need that one wave and you think it's scary, just don't do it.
Yeah.
Out of experience, that's the wave you die for, especially me. So you need to make it a habit to not go. Don't go for that extra creep wave. Don't do it.
Yeah. It's always a scary proposition. But it's like the one time that it works makes you justify like the 8 times that it doesn't. And Skywrath Mage actually gets taken out by the Meepo. Just
kind of
completely destroys these heroes so fast.
Odd place for him to die. I wonder. I didn't quite see how he ended up here. But
probably was trying to de-ward or something, but yeah, that's...
I guess so.
Weird spot.
Anyway, nice pickup for Radiant. Well, Dire... They need to be really careful with these devs, because, like we touched before, Radiant can abuse it really fast. They kill Roshan very quickly right now.
Indeed. And in terms of Virtus.pro, it's not like they really have... I mean, they have a bit of wombo combo potential, I suppose. Oh boy, Centaur... Alright, he's healthy. I was gonna say,
yeah,
I thought
they
might
don't
go
dare.
for the gank there, but...
They actually only see Centaur on the map. I'm not sure who they saw earlier, if they had more intel. But if you see only Centaur, like right next to the tier 1 tower, I think you can't dare to go on him.
It's gonna be a TP out here, so... what do you think of the Slark? I mean, I love Paladin Sword on this hero, because not only the regeneration, but the life... I mean, not only the lifesteal, but the regeneration that you get from the ult just gets amplified. But is Titan Sliver... This was nerfed. It used to be 24, I believe, for all these benefits that you get. It's now 16. Status resistance is a pretty big deal. It's interesting to see him prioritize that over the Paladin Sword.
Oh, one thing to skip your topic real quick. This VP smoke isn't too bad, but Reality Rift no, since they have a sentry and it sees this newly placed observer. Looks like VP will just back off for now.
And we should mention that no one is still working on Aghanim Scepter. 1,000 away, so he is quite poor for what he usually is at.
I wonder if it's even that good.
Well, you can't dispel it, right? The stun, I don't think. Once you leave the... Is that true,
you can,
actually? Or it just goes through BKB, that's the difference.
Yeah, it just goes through BKB, so it's kind of the same. It's just, it lasts longer and it deals more damage when you break. So maybe he's getting it for like the break damage. Or it's, I mean, he's probably just getting for the longer duration and the damage. I mean... Right. Nothing else really makes sense, because there's no BKB on Radiant.
Well, we have a smoke here. We're trying to pursue no one, as Drew is very scary right now. But he will back up. They're trying to make as much space as possible for this Meepo to take out Roshan, which now has the cheese available. Oh, I hear a duel. It is onto the Lich. And it's going to be close, but no. No duel damage and no kill. Resolution will cost his life. Lich does die shortly after, though, as the net onto the Treant Protector will be in place as the pursuit onto Rubik continues. But Meepo and company not be able to find the Drow Ranger, actually, but they will find... Is that a dieback onto the Legion Commander? Or did he not buy back? Puck dies regardless.
Nah, he bought back like 7 minutes ago.
Okay, well, this will open it up even more for the Roche.
Yep, this is certainly a free Roche.
That was the Aghanim Stampede, by the way, so... This is also a great item against heroes like... Legion Commander. Not that he's really getting dual victories, but being able to use Stampede globally to mitigate even more damage on duel. Just such a good Ags game. Can't stress that enough.
Yeah, no, definitely. That was nicely played by Reality Rift. They just had to make sure that they don't go too deep while the Meepo is roaching. VP are just gonna try to hold their base, and it looks like Reality Rift are gonna stay. I'm not sure if they're happy with this. I mean, they got roach and they forced a puck buyback, and I guess they're just gonna play the map now. Meepo can just push up bottom. They hold position together.
Yeah, he is 5 slotted right now. Once he gets that heart, I don't even know what you get anymore.
Yeah,
I guess you're just done.
Not a Meepo expert, but I guess you get heart. Maybe you replace your boots after. I don't know.
Moon Shard for 1
Buy a
Meepo.
Moon Shard, yeah.
It'd be so funny if you could apply the Moon Shard to each individual hero. You'd have to buy a Moon Shard for each one.
Oh my god, that net worth would look ridiculous at some point.
Yeah. And I guess Aghanim Scepter could be eaten. It's funny that Ags is just not built on this hero pretty much at all.
Yeah,
anymore.
I was just thinking about it because top lane, he's trying to find no one. He was actually very close to it. That would have been a game-winning kill since he has no buyback.
Yeah, the dieback is a real.
But yeah, Ags is. I actually nearly forgot it exists on that hero. Nobody buys it.
Yeah, it's been
Meepo.
like a year and a half, I think, since it was a thing. I actually talked to Weeha about that as well, but just he says in some games it's still good, but it's pretty rare.
I see. Yeah.
But if you're gonna get it for
like
free from Roshan, then why not?
Oh yeah, certainly anyone will take that one.
Although I think there
This
might be
was
some
in
better
a-
considerations on the team for Ags this game, honestly.
Most likely, yeah, simply because it's not that good. I like the adjustment on Meepo's item build right now, at least that he wants to go Silver Edge. Because
okay.
they just need to pick off the enemy team outside the base right now to then securely go high ground. And especially like we touched on, if he does get the puck, like if he's Invis and he E-Blade hexes him out of Invis, I think the puck is just dead in the hex duration. And then the game... I mean, it's not over if he catches him without buyback, but it gives him a huge opening to then go high ground.
I mean, he's died once this game, so and he's getting his 400 HP talent at 25. So Heart is kind of like, maybe it's a little overkill.
Yeah,
But yeah,
especially when you
Silver
have
Edge allows him to open up.
ages. Especially usually when you have ages, it allows you to build a more aggressive item that perhaps otherwise you wouldn't, simply because you have like an extra buffer, an extra life with the heart. So you can try to use something more aggressive.
No one still working on the Aghanim Scepter, by the way. Just a little update for everybody out there. He is having a rough go at it. Actually, yesterday he had a pretty rough go as well. I guess Virtus.pro as a whole did. As bottom lane, Meepo onto Resolution, and the finishing blow with the E-Blade. Because, like you said yesterday, being able to kill somebody with the E-Blade itself is just more satisfying. So why not?
Yeah, nothing more satisfying. I would commend him for that. Good job, the kill.
As the Legion, or
No, as a Meepo.
that's
Blast that guy off the map. We have a coil here on 2.
yeah, Coil on 2. Centaur, he's getting blown up here pretty decently, but Meepo's gonna apply a lot of pressure to Drow, who has to pop the BKB. Overgrowth onto a few heroes. Stampede's still available, saving it for a long time here. Alexei's not too worried about dying, it seems. They're gonna reset after the buyback from Resolution.
He was actually, one thing to note, he was perma-silence in this fight because of the Sky talent, once again.
Yeah, of course.
He
Maybe
means,
Lotus Road is... Yeah, there it is.
It's his choice as well, as we can see from his quick buy, which is definitely what he should buy too. It's not only good against Sky, it's good against Puck Silences, Drow Silence, Tree and Root. So, and of course it gives you armor, which is great for his build. He's very tanky already.
I mean, the crazy thing about this is the fact that it like your Centaur ult just gets amplified so much from Aghanim Scepter, but it's... Oh, I'm sorry, they changed this, didn't they? 90-second cooldown. I was going to say 60. I guess I'm living in old times. When
Yeah, I
Centaur
think you are.
was picked back in the day when I spammed him. I mean, 90 seconds still for something that important.
It also used to
Still
be
pretty
60% reduction, and then
Yeah,
50, and
That's
now
right.
40.
It went down to 40, unfortunately. Used to stun. Good times.
All the
man.
things this hero used to do.
Well, Meepo now feeling pretty good about himself. Still has the Aegis, of course. Fortification is activated by Virtus.pro. They are at a 23k disadvantage. Meteor Hammer is going to hold Meepo in place. They might be able to get this Aegis, and they do. Maybe a little bit easier than they were thinking it would be.
Oi, outplayed.
Yeah, the coil comes in, completely misses. We talked about this interaction, right? He just kept the main
Yeah, well
Meepo
played.
away. So
Yeah, I was about to say VP may have had a play in 20 seconds because the Aegis was about to fade. But that's literally why they did this play, right, with Meepo. He sends his 4 Meepos, they're hoping to maybe get the racks while the main Meepo stays out, and if he dies, well, he respawns out there, and it's basically a no-risk play.
So do they not... tell me why they're not pushing bot after seeing Coil being wasted.
I think high grounding is...
Aegis?
I think high grounding is just still scary. I just think there's no need to take that risk. I think they could just continue playing the game like this, where they push out the side lanes, they get a pick off somewhere, and then they go high ground off that. Because right now, both Legion and Puck don't have buyback. Once you kill one of those heroes outside the map, I think that's your cue to go high ground.
Magic Lamp. Maybe that's going to go on.
Oh yeah, tier 4 items just started, huh?
Yep,
40
they
minute
are
mark.
starting up. Meepo changed up his item a little bit. He got a Scotty. Is going for the silver. What did the Scotty replace? What am I missing here? That's something I got rid of.
It was just the Aegis, I think.
Oh, this is a replacement for the Aegis. Okay.
Yeah.
So he's very, very tanky right now.
Yeah.
And VP,
They're
look
all
at the way
getting
they have
up.
to play. Oh,
Damn,
almost.
that was close. He
They have
was,
to play so passive right now.
Yeah, he sniffed them out for sure. He was tight. He was tight on that one. He could smell them.
Double damage.
Well, Roshan may respawn in a minute and a half. Have to wait and see how long the actual timer is going to be. Solo doing a pretty good job of just pushing out these lanes. I mean, it's going to cost him his life, but...
Oh, what an obnoxious game. You need to play split push against Meepo, and they're controlling both outsides and the whole map at both outposts.
It's
How do you
difficult.
play? Jesus.
Quite
It's hard.
difficult indeed.
Like, I'm gonna commend VP if they get to stay in this game much longer, let alone have successful defenses. You definitely have to commend them, because this game is
He got his axe,
incredibly hard.
Kazu. He finished it.
There we go.
It took him 15 minutes, I think, to finish that. It has been so hard to actually farm.
Yeah. I mean, if this Puck can get 25 and he takes the rapid fire, it's like one way back in the game, I'd say. Of course, it's not easy. So, I mean, they're so far behind, it can't be easy. But it's a level up in their lineup, I would say, for sure. If they get that talent.
I mean, we talked about it. Like, in theory, maybe not in practice this game. I mean, we'll see. But in theory, that is a really good skill against the Meepo.
Yeah. But luckily for Radiant, the Centaur's item build is incredibly good also against that talent. Both the Crimson will block or mitigate damage every time from the rapid fire hits, and then of course there's the Stampede Axe too.
He is extremely tanky. Probably saving for buyback right now, so a little bit of ways from actually finishing this Lotus Orb. Just wants to play it safe. I mean, it's another hero. If you die without using your ult, you can just buy back and use it to help out your team globally. So not the worst use for sure, depending on the situation. So smoke on VP right now. No one wants to show off this Ags.
Oh, they might
Did they
find
hear the
Meepo
net
on
from
this.
Meepo? This will be a pretty big kill. Gets the silence. Stampede is there to mitigate as much damage as possible. Blade Mail is enough with the duel and resolution. 46 duel damage. Do they actually want to fight this though? Reality Rift comes back and Stampede's already been used, remember. Lorik and company getting overgrowth. This could be a big fight for VP. Buyback is available on the Meepo. We'll see if he actually comes back into the fight or not. Slark taking a lot of damage. They're going to get him. And this means Reality Rift is losing this fight horribly.
All right,
for
we're
nothing.
back.
Triple kill on the Drow. Nuts. Do they have a stun? They do not. Lich survives.
Yeah, I'm gonna call this a team wipe. If I'm in VP,
Wow.
damn, you're yelling right now. That's some good stuff.
7,000 gold swing right there.
Yeah, I mean they found the Meepo first because they kind of understand that Meepo is hunting them, so they got him first. And Reality Rift, perhaps not the best choice to continue taking the fight instead of just backing out. But luckily for them, Roshan isn't gonna spawn for another minute. Otherwise, VP would force a few buybacks here for sure.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
Oh, he took gold per minute talent. Interesting. So I guess they're hoping this game will last, and this way he just has more gold by the time he gets 30. I'm not sure.
Oh, wow. That's very interesting. Well, they're applying a ton of pressure to this tier 3. I mean, remember, this is a Drow lineup. You will lose buildings very quickly. Despite them being behind basically this whole game, they can certainly punish successful fights like this. As Reality Rift might be giving up a Rax. They have buybacks galore, but they don't want to use them.
Yeah, they're gonna give it.
One Rax at this point of the game, maybe not the biggest concern, as Lich
Hello,
will
Chain
ult a
Frost.
creep wave. Just really needs that
Just-
extra farm.
Asserting dominance, I think. Roshan is up soon.
Yeah, he won't
And
have that
Dyer
ult
will
for the
know.
Roche pit. That's
It matters, for
it does
sure.
matter quite a bit.
Yeah. Roshan spawned. Both teams know it, as there's 2 couriers flying around, as one of them gets sniped out.
What if the couriers could fight each other?
What if you could
Ouch.
dig on another courier?
Yeah, I would love that.
Zap! Yeah, I would like that. Ah, it's
Slarky
actually
Company,
so-
this is a Roshan attempt, and this is where VP can really turn the tides of this game. Remember, Reality Rift does have buybacks on basically every hero, if not all of them. KYXY gets silenced up, does not have the Lotus Orb as of yet. There's the duel onto the
got
Meepo
Meepo.
with the Skyrath ult. He's at about half HP. They won't be able to finish him off quite yet. The nice coil onto the Meepo as well. Stampede was popped as well, so a lot of damage mitigation coming into play. Meepo getting decimated from the sideline from Epileptic. Gets E-bladed himself. He will die, though, and he does not have buyback. Interesting. What did he buy? As the fight will
Blades a bit
continue, but
short.
VP is starting to drop double buyback on them from Drow and Puck. But with no Meepo buyback. Sorry, what did he buy?
Nothing actually. They were just a bit greedy. He had to farm one more creep wave.
He had
Well,
buyback before
take-
that. That's really weird. Wow.
Oh, are you sure?
I could have sworn. Maybe not.
I checked him like as they were clicking Roche, he was like 300 gold short. But they are
142
picking
now.
out bounty runes because one bounty rune, I believe one will do it. One will give him buyback. Oh boy.
That would be a pretty heads-up play to actually take them. But Roshan is not being attempted anymore. There's the Abyssal Blade onto no one. Gets pounced as well, but Slark is silenced. Gets forced out to safety. Resolution does have dual availability. He's very low on HP, and he's just going to get right-clicked down by Drew. Buyback onto the Lich now. As a high ground advantage comes into play for Virtus.pro. Slark better be careful. He's very low on HP. Will attempt to get out. Has pounce available. Should be good to go. BKB popped. Actually, that was the Minotaur horn by Hustla.
That sound. What the hell?
That was a very, very strong sound. Drew looking to take out no one, but will not do so. Gets his ult off, but is silenced into the duel. This will be a pretty big kill overall, and they will find it. Does have buyback, of course. Meepo is up in 20 seconds. Do they have enough time to actually take out Roshan? Looks like they're going to attempt at the very least. Meepo up in 12 seconds. Slark will buy back. We'll see if Virtus.pro wants to re-engage or not. Looks like they will back up. And
I
with
think
Meepo
for the
up-
first time in 2-3 minutes, oh, they might find 3 in here.
Yeah, they get the Abyssal Blade into the pounce. Gust will miss, but the Force Staffs galore, keeping Solo alive, at least for now.
Alright, they got him.
And finally, the pounce will finish him off.
I think VP were winning these last minutes heavily. This is the first time I give the advantage to Reality Rift again. Because VP, they actually expanded a lot of buybacks and were not able to finish Roche.
Right.
Now, Reality Rift actually get to take Roche. They still have buyback available on 1, 2, 3 heroes. This was very scary for Reality Rift. I think VP were definitely outplaying them in these past few minutes.
Aghanims on Rubik. Gets it from
Oh,
Roche.
let's go.
That's a good hero.
Also, we have this Lotus Orb now on Centaur. I cannot stress it enough. I stressed it yesterday. This Skyref talent is a huge problem. People are just perma-silenced. This one of these meeples, he only died in a Roche pit because of the amp damage. When they killed Slark down there, I think he got gusted into perma-silence on Skyref too. So they need to either kill him, or they need to make sure that this Lotus Orb hits the right way.
Do you think that Valve just did their math wrong on this? I mean, 6-second duration, 5-second cooldown. Pretty crazy, man.
I don't know, man. There's some crazy shit out there. I don't question Valve anymore. It's
Drow
probably
is
intended.
actually going for an Aghanim Scepter. Are you surprised by this at all? I mean, this is the wave. I mean, this is good against Meepo in theory, right? You get the splash damage or whatever. Very cool.
I guess it's pretty good. I think even if you hit other heroes, it's very... I mean, I don't quite know the bounce range, like how high it is, but I think it's pretty good here, yeah. I mean, what else could he buy? That's probably his best choice right now. I guess he could go crit to try and hammer down, like, one Meepo. But not the biggest Drow expert here. I would assume that this guy knows what he's doing.
Yeah, one can only
So
assume.
Axe should be solid.
Of course, has a 40% cooldown reduction. Very powerful. As Slark will get the range Rex or not. Fortification is actually used. Nice PTA onto the Drow Ranger.
It's
Synderin really
definitely-
hates that, by the way. He hates
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he can't stand it. Made me use
that's
it more
okay.
than once. As
I
a
should use
result.
it more indeed. Yeah.
Exactly. Fortification's
That's definitely
down,
my
so this
cue.
is a free range.
Yeah.
Centaur
They
has the
have-
cheese right now. So he
They
has
have
double,
double
cheese. in fact.
cheese on Centaur, and they did give Aegis to Slark. I think Meepo just doesn't feel good enough anymore.
Meepo jumps in. Overwhelming odds does quite a bit of damage. And actually, the jump in from Slark, he's going to have to force out his ult, apply a little bit of pressure to Resolution. So it pops the BKB, and the spider legs runs right through his Ancient. And they're going to heal up to safety. Well, dewarding action now. 30k net worth lead for Reality Rift. As no one jumps in with the coil into another overwhelming odds into the overgrowth, but there's no follow-up right now. As the silence, I believe that's probably the Lotus Orb onto save, keeping him safe. As the E-Blade keeping Alacrity safe for now. Is he able to get out in time? Nope, he gets dueled at the last moment, and they will kill him. 100 seconds on the deck. He buys back into the game. Now you're seeing the cheese #1 used on Centaur. There is a cooldown on that. You don't see that interaction all too often. And now the Drow Ranger has the Aghanim Scepter. See if this actually... I mean, if they can kill Meepo again, that is huge, because they can just potentially throne it.
Be careful, Reality Rift, right now.
Yeah.
That was
very
a hasty buyback on the Meepo for sure. These late game scenarios, I've seen too many of them lately. I feel like out of the way that Reality Rift were approaching this high ground, I think that it's making me feel like that they feel insecure about what they were doing. I don't think they were all on the same page. I don't think they all necessarily liked this push. Because Meepo was kind of far back while the rest were fighting. Then he came in when the rest kind of wanted to disengage. But I mean, VP held that really well. They used all their spells well, their BKBs. And well, they forced a buyback out of Meepo. This is actually very big. Because when you're this far behind, I mean, it's late game, so it doesn't mean as much. Because suddenly, when you pick off a hero now that, let's say, doesn't have buyback like this, it's an opening to just like win the game.
Yeah, I don't know if we mentioned this, but Slark is the one with the Aegis. Are you surprised by that at all? He didn't have. So at the time, he did not have buyback, which he still doesn't, and Meepo did. So that may be the reasoning.
Yeah, I think that's definitely one. Also, I think they just feel safer right now with, I think, Slark being in front, because he can get himself in and out. But I think if Meepo is hitting these racks, he might just die without VP having to commit in the front line, and then it's kind of just a wasted Aegis. Whereas I think Slark, he can just control the Aegis in a better way.
And it looks like Alacrity is building an Ags now, since he has nothing else to do.
I mean, VP have yet to lose a Rax, actually. Well, not a melee Rax, at least.
Yeah, range Rax, who cares at this point?
Pretty impressive. I'm
It
not
is.
gonna lie.
Would not have guessed that based on how this game has been going. But maybe that
Certainly not.
speaks to the, Reality Rift, not as well of known team. Maybe not as much experience as Virtus.pro, so maybe a little bit of that coming into play, like not being able to push their advantage any further. So the first thought we had was Rubik obviously taking the Ags for himself, because in theory this is the best Ags carry in the game,
Yeah.
like in the entire game of Dota. But Slark could have taken it for himself. Would that have been a consideration?
Could
Yeah,
have
that's
indeed.
pretty
Actually,
freaking
one
good.
thing, I don't know why I was thinking about it, but when you mentioned this Ags, I was thinking about Slark, the old Ags, where he took other people in his cloud.
Yeah, the garbage. That thing was so bad. Oh.
It would actually not be that bad this game with Meepo, and he could hide people in duel. I don't know how the interaction would work.
I know how that works. You just don't attack.
Yeah, that's
It's
pretty
a
good.
constant
And then
thing.
they all heal. But yeah. Maybe
If only he had his old Ags this game.
Yeah. Then he definitely should have taken it. I'm not gonna lie. I think that's way better than the double pounce. Even though double pounce is also good this game.
We'll see if Rubik can take advantage of this Ags. I mean, it does save him a lot of gold because he was going to build it anyway, so he can just go for eventual sheep stick right now.
I think right now it would actually... I think now is the point where you want a blink on Centaur. I think up until now it was great. You bought all these tanky items. But I don't like him now ending his item build with another tanky item, because I think he's already not the focus point for the enemy team. At least he shouldn't be. I
So
think he has to help his team engage right now onto the Skyref, for instance.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I think the reason he's going Heart is because he takes the Retaliate aura. Wait, actually, how does that work? I forget. Is it based off of
I'm
his
not
strength?
sure
No,
if
no,
it's based off his...
It's not. I'm almost positive. It's based off of the each respective hero. Or else that would be super broken. But still,
I would
like, with a Meepo,
say
that's still a
this
really
is
good talent.
mistake. But then he should have taken the retaliate damage on 20, right?
He's gonna get 30, bro. No problem.
Oh, yeah, like just wait that 20 more minutes. That his plan works out. Genius.
I mean, he knows I'm casting, so he knows the game's going to 70 minutes.
Oh boy.
Yeah, Lotus Orb.
He's fine here.
Is he?
He should be
Entire
fine.
team right here.
I'm
don't
just
know.
gonna say he's fine.
He's very tanky, as we've established.
They don't have any intel on the map, so I don't think they dare to go. Now they saw Rubik behind.
Yeah, they just scanned actually at that area, so they know if they were waiting behind.
Yeah. Oh, now they're
now
smoking.
smoke. Okay.
Nighttime. One thing to note: not the best time to smoke into a Slark lineup when it's night. You wanna try to do it in daytime, but they don't have much choice.
It's true. The night vision really helping out. Rubik is gonna pop the smoke. Will he actually see anything? Nope, he's not. He is just gonna die. Popped the Minotaur Horn, but a little bit too late. BKB now popped by Drew, who jumps in, buyback onto the Rubik. Slark is continuing to try to kill this pesky Skywrath Mage. It's gonna be a long, drawn-out battle. It looks like he will find it eventually, but kind of a weird fight right now. Skywrath finally goes down. Did force the Slark ultimate. Skywrath's gonna buy back into the game now. Epileptic gets a nice gust onto 2. BKB's already been expended. They might need to back out here. Very messy fight overall. See if Reality Rift can take advantage of this or not.
They're looking for
looking
solo.
to chase. Yeah, it doesn't look like they'll find anybody unless an amazing pounce comes in. Oh, he gets the Lincoln's proc into the Abyssal Blade. He's going to continue to try to chase. Not going to find him though.
That was a nice try. The Rubik, I think, broke the Lincolns from afar. Or was it the Diffusal? I don't know. Anyway, it was a nice try to catch the puck there.
Oh, Meepo looking for the puck. No one. He gets out a little bit. Nice overgrowth on the 3, but 0 follow-up. Actually, was that a stolen? That was a stolen overgrowth from Rubik.
Yeah.
Very nicely played. I changed what I just said. 2 for nothing right here. The buyback onto the Tree Ant Protector. I believe that's a dieback now on the Skyrat. So this is the time for Reality Rift to truly strike. A double kill for Drew. And he has 36 stacks right now. Roshan is not going to be up for 12 more seconds. We'll see if they want to take another Rax. They could force the buyback onto the puck. They should know that Skywrath Mage definitely is a dieback, cannot buy back in this game.
Yeah, they should know. It happened, like, literally now that he just bought back. But yeah, the overgrowth was very nice. One thing that still kind of cracks me up is the sound of these... Some of these neutral items. They just added some of these sounds recently, right?
Yep.
Like the sound of this horn is hilarious.
It sounds so strong, like, oh, it lasts 1.75 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, it's like...
A little anticlimactic there.
Yeah, like, relax.
There's the buyback onto no one. Gust is not going to connect.
Right. Back to Roche we go, boys.
Yeah, now they know that Roche. Okay, so Aghanim Scepter, this has to go to Slark. I mean, come on. Unless he's a guy that just does not... Like, if you're not good with the pounce at that range, then I can understand not using it.
Right? Don't give this guy a Slark, please. Don't first to Slark if he has that excuse. My god. God help me.
Oh, God.
I mean, if they give it to Lich, then they just feel like they've won. It has to go to Slark.
I mean, Lich, it is a black hole, right?
Please take it on Slark. Oh, right, it's the new one.
Yeah.
It's not actually that bad. It's not the permanent change.
Right, it will be Slark. Let's see if he can use the pound. I mean, this isn't as bad as like Aghanim Scepter on Legion Commander, obviously. I mean, typically, you see the Slarks actually build Ags, right?
Yeah. One thing I would like to touch on one more time is the Centaur build. I still very strongly believe that he should have a Blink Dagger in his inventory. I would even want to see it over Phase Boots. I would have also liked to see him skill the Hoofstomp talent. So I think his build up until like 10 minutes ago was perfect. Simply because the Meepo and Slark, they were so strong that they could not only engage the fights, but also stay alive in the fights. But right now, as you can see, Dire, they have like more items and they're more tanky. It's kind of hard for Reality Rift to click on that one target and get to kill it. Simply because they kind of get kited and then the fight gets split up. And that's actually one of the reasons why VP are kind of winning some of these fights or going even though they're so far behind. I think they kind of need the Centaur to engage on one of the targets to like put some attention on him and make it easier for both Meepo and Slark to play the fight.
Right. Well, on the side of VP, in terms of their item progression, Mjolnir is coming kind of soon for the Drow. Obviously wants to try to maintain buyback though, so why not have it for this fight. Refresher Shard, it is in Centaur's backpack, right? He's going to keep the cheese, so double Stampede, it just feels like a game ender if you can use it properly. He's just doing damage to the tower the old-fashioned way. Oh, we have a jump in. Slark getting completely caught out. Does have buyback. We'll see how aggressive Reality Rift want to be in using that buyback. As we're going to have Coil onto the Rubik, and there's the buyback onto the Slark. So then now the Virtus.pro needs to reevaluate whether this is worth it or not. Resolution does die, so it's a trade of sorts, but of course the buyback on the Slark is such a big deal. Nice. Lift onto Puck, and there's the buyback from Resolution. Puck, no one, gets off the orb, and Jaunt with the BKB will successfully get away. Where is this Meepo is the question, as Centaur has used Stampede, still has that Refresher Shard in his backpack, also the Pipe in his backpack. We'll pop the Crimson Guard.
Just
and
backpack all
is
of
just
it.
decimating these racks right now. Getting a little bit low, though. There you're seeing the Overgrowth coming to play with the Skyrim's Mage. I believe it's an Aghanim Scepter on him, and that is a dead Meepo with the Aegis, who will revive very shortly. Drow Ranger dies and buys back into the game, but of course this is in his base, so he should be there shortly. Skyrim's Mage, absolutely no buyback to speak of, along with Resolution. That is a dieback on him. So this looks to be an easy Mega Creeps now, unless there's some miraculous comeback here from Virtus.pro. Lift onto Puck, into the Abyssal Blade. He's all over the place. We'll get off the phase shift. A nice job from Solo here, keeping everybody in tow, but so much damage mitigation from Centaur as they continue the pressure. And I believe this is going to be Mega Creeps for Reality Rift, as they played, well, they had the advantage the whole game, and we have the stolen duel. It's the Aghanim Scepter duel, so...
This looks about the other game as well. That's about as good as how it was earlier.
Very nicely played.
Hilarious.
So Virtus.pro 0-3 so far in this group stage.
Yeah. Well,
But they did a nice job
I
of
think,
defending.
yeah, with them being 0-3, they probably don't feel too good. But seeing this performance, how they held against that big of a deficit, at least right now in this moment, I don't think they should feel too bad about themselves. They should try to brush it off as okay, we lost to a last pick Meepo, and it took them 1 hour to do it. You know, boost your own confidence a bit, even whatever if it's a bit fake, and just go into the next game and try to have a clear mind, really.
Yeah, that's the only... I mean, they're a very established squad in terms of, like, veteran presence and whatnot. Like, they've had a lot of experience between, just Solo, no one, and Resolution, if nothing else. So, not too worried about the psyche aspect of this, but in terms of, like, looking at the graph right now, Reality Rift was in the driver's seat for a good portion of this game, and they really tried their best to... like, in my opinion, this should have been over 20 minutes ago. Do you agree with that? If they played
most likely.
correctly.
You can tell that. I mean, they're probably. I mean, all of these games are good for them. Like, I think the more games they play in this tournament and in general, it's going to help them a lot. Because, I mean, they definitely have the skill to, win against these teams and do well against them. But there's some shaky stuff here and there. So if they can, keep focus up all the time, try to take solid fights when they're ahead, I think this team has quite good potential, actually.
Yeah, they've been looking... I mean, in the first series, Reality Rift against IG, they looked really good in Game 1. They looked okay in Game 2, and then really bad in Game 3. So they're kind of all over the place. If they can find that consistency, then yeah, they have definite potential for sure. But with that, Suns Fan and Kezu here. We'll be doing Game 2 coming up shortly of this best of 3. The loser just goes straight... Or the loser of the series, I should say, goes straight to the lower bracket of the main event for DreamHack Major, which is a best of 1, which is definitely not where you want to be. The winner of this series will go on to face Alliance in a best of 3 after this series, so stay tuned.